Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today. I've had a few comments on my message boards and comment sections recently asking me to put out a bit of a video on what I believe in and where I think we may be going wrong as a society. I think that'd be beneficial. Okay, here goes. I believe that we have a secularism problem in the United Kingdom currently. I believe that we should all be equal under the law. The only person who should be above anybody in the United Kingdom is the monarch, the king. That is why they are the king. So everybody else, from the Prime Minister down to a street cleaner on minimum wage, should be treated the same. Okay? That is the principle of equality before the law. So when you look around and you see two-tier policing, or you see people say to you, well, you wouldn't understand because you're not gay, or you wouldn't understand because you're not Irish, or you wouldn't understand you're not Scottish. Well, now, I reject all of that wholesale, because, for example, with the Scottish referendum in 2014, I was heavily involved in the unionist side of it. I had a lot of people come up to me and dismiss me and say, well, you don't count, you're English. They didn't bother to ask if I lived in Scotland. They didn't bother to ask that. They just said, it doesn't matter because you're not Scottish. Or if you've got a problem with Islamists in the United Kingdom, well, you can't comment because you're not Muslim. Well, no, I reject that concept entirely. In fact, the best person to have a comment on Islamism in the Muslim community would be someone who isn't Muslim, because they can look at it as a impartial bystander rather than have the baggage of the religion to actually look at it through that lens. It can be beneficial to look at it as an outsider to a particular religion. And this is my problem. Secularism in the United Kingdom, you wouldn't understand, you're not like me. You wouldn't understand, this isn't about you. And somebody turns around and says, well, you can't understand racism because you're white. Well, tell that to me when you're rejected for a job and they reject you on the basis of your skin colour. I was rejected for even the job interview because they said to me, we're not recruiting people who aren't an ethnic minority, i.e. if you're white, we're not interested. If that's not racism, what is? I thought racism was treating somebody differently based on the colour of the skin. That is what racism is. So if someone says to me, you can't understand racism, I would say, well, I can understand racism because I have experienced it. It's important that we have a level society. This is why identity politics is divisive and will fail. You're categorising people by a characteristic and judging them solely on that characteristic. You're a person of colour, you're Scottish, you're Welsh, you're English, and you're assigning people neat little categories, a convenient definition, and you think that everyone in that box needs to be treated the same. Well, that's the way to divide society, and that's how you end up with things like two-tier policing and equality of rule of law in what's meant to be a united society. This is what's important to me, and this is what I feel our focus should be on as a country. So when you have the Prime Minister go on national TV and brand everybody who believes in controlled migration or zero migration as far right and extreme, I think that's deeply problematic, and I think it is unhelpful to say the least. If you agree with this video, please give it a thumbs up, please comment, and let me know if you think I'm onto something or I'm talking out the back of my head. I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.